What makes an effective K-2 literacy classroom? To answer this question, we first must understand what expectations that we feel should be met throughout this schooling period. As soon as children enter school in Australia, they are being assessed against what is the deemed syllabus for the region. For literacy, this includes the areas of reading texts, comprehension, vocabulary knowledge, aspects of writing, aspects of speaking, phonics, phonemic awareness, and concepts about print. While kindergarten to Year 2 is the first official school age, it is recognised that children already come to school with certain prior knowledge. This fits into a tool that was created for teachers called the Learning Continuum. In each category of literacy development is a cluster of markers for certain age groups, indicating the progress of a student's literacy learning. For example, by the end of kindergarten, an indication a child has developed comprehension skills to their level would be through the marker that the child can analyse and evaluate a character's actions or events in a story through discussion. The learning continuum contains clusters of markers from prior to school, before kindergarten, all the way through school till Year 10. It allows teachers to reach the syllabus outcomes expected of children and allows for a stronger and more structured delivery of literacy. While the teacher is provided with tools and outcomes for the children, the exact how that it is performed lies largely at the discretion of the teacher themselves. There is no two classrooms that look the same or operate the same. What other than the syllabus influences a teacher then to create a classroom they feel enhances their students' ability to learn most effectively? There are a number of factors that impact this. Firstly, no matter who we are, teacher or not, our beliefs about literacy, being literate, and schooling have an impact on how we approach it in the world. Experience we may have had at school, views we hold on learning to read and write, and many other factors all have an impact on how we feel that children would learn best. Teachers, although swayed by this, have received training and are provided with knowledge, research, and guidance on the best techniques for teaching. Therefore, teaching strategies should be employed on the basis of a particular theory or research to validate their use. In kindergarten to Year 2, children are in the stage of developing and refining their oral, written, and reading language skills. Upon starting school, it is assumed that children have a capacity to structure spoken and visual texts, but are limited in their skill in written text. Recent studies indicate that children have a natural inquisitiveness when coming to reading and writing, however lack the ability to properly express them. As such, classrooms need to be able to foster this interest by creating an environment that sees language as a resource instead of a deficit. Children that cannot express themselves with the proper spoken or written word may express themselves through another means, such as a picture. Reading and writing should be viewed as a parallel means of meaning making, and encouraging this as an effective alternative to children is more beneficial to their literacy development than to make it appear as if writing is the only form that will be accepted. Encouraging this form of expression and allowing children to draw, talk, write, and share provides them with a strong environment to develop stronger literacy skills through being confident learners. Language acquisition varies between each individual, so understanding that each child has a different need is crucial to an effective classroom. Developing and implementing programs for literacy acquisition is a useful method for ensuring that outcomes are achieved. Having a dynamic system in place that takes into account what the students already know, where they are going, how they will get there, and how it will be known they have arrived at an outcome allows for an ongoing evaluation of the literacy teaching practices. This means that the teacher themselves can reassess how they are teaching and should change be needed to ensure that student learning continues. Young literacy learners, just like people with developed literacy skills, use language as a means of making meaning and expressing that. However, with the young literacy learners, the repertoire of skills they possess is limited and still developing. Young literacy learners will use whatever forms of language they have acquired to create a meaningful message to express themselves in the best way. Depending on the context, this can involve the use of multiple sources from the child, such as drawing and writing. From birth, children are absorbing in knowledge from the world around them. Children notice how people interact with each other. From this, children begin to understand methods of communication, from people talking, body language, expression, and many others. Oral language is a complex system of communication that relates sound to meaning. It provides a foundation for all other literacy learning. Oral language begins to develop through listening. By listening to how others interact, young learners begin to associate particular meanings with words they hear. Eventually, the young learners will begin to attempt to use the word to express meaning through speech, and will be guided by those with more experience. Developing a strong oral language foundation is an important part of all literacy learners' progress, as it provides a foundation for which meaning making can be drawn from. Reading and writing is an abstract concept that links to the oral language resources of a child. It associates written text with meaning. Such a language skill is viewed as an essential tool to young learners to be able to continue learning and operate effectively in the world. In the classroom, young literacy learners are exposed to vast amounts of written text. Classrooms contain books, posters, alphabets, and many other forms of written text. This is to maximise the exposure that children have to written text and to signify that it is a useful form of communication. Teachers also read and encourage reading, and this also enforces in the children's development that as well as oral language skills, it is useful to have reading and writing skills as a way to represent ourselves. Language acquisition is socially and culturally derived, and children will listen and view the actions of others to learn how to become active language users. As children gather more language and literacy skills, they become active participants and creators of language, and will continue to use and build upon these skills for the rest of their lives.